I think everything's good. Yeah, I think so.
Hey guys.
Ooh, let me turn this off. I'll mute this guy.
Happy Tuesday. Happy first live stream of 2019. It is raining like crazy outside, like blowing against the window right now.
The wind just kicked up big time.
Yeah.
Did it blow that door open? No?
Oh, did you close it?
I think so. Hey, Rose.
So, yeah, it's been like the oddest winter. I think it's been an odd winter everywhere, but we've had like an inch and a half of snow since the end of October, which is when we would typically have a chance of starting snow. And it's just been warm and rainy. So it looks like spring outside, and it's been storming all day.
It really looks like spring with the swamp that we have out back.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get too started tonight, we are using a brand new microphone tonight. We're not using the built-in mic on our laptop. We're using an external mic now, so let us know how everything sounds, if we're too loud, if we're too quiet, if it's like so loud that it's making us sound kind of crappy. Let us know.
Yeah. Thanks, Cindy. Appreciate it.
Michigan Mike, welcome, buddy.
So let's say hi to everyone. We got Diana, my little chill, Cynthia Fisher, Hidden Within Myself. Hi, that's a new name. Welcome to the live stream. Deborah E., Rose over at Wholesome Roots, Bill and Rosa at Off Grid Stead, Valerie D., welcome. Country Homestead Preacher, Two Wild Onions, Kiri, Diana, Michigan Mike, like you said. Welcome, welcome. Oh, there's Living Garden. Hey, Jess. Hey, Amy. Hey, Josh. Welcome. So tonight we're going to do something fun because we really don't have like a ton to talk about. And I got Todd's been wanting and tossing around the idea of making mead. And we said, well, once we have our honey from our bees, we definitely have to try it. So for Christmas, I got him like the carboy and stuff like that to play. And we haven't done it yet, so we're going to do it tonight with you guys. Hey, Tara.
Yep, been a whole lot of research and reading and watching YouTube videos to bring up my knowledge base to hopefully the novice level, but I'll share with you guys tonight what it is that I've learned so far, and we're going to make our first batch of mead together, and I hope it turns out.
Josh is asking about the yoga.
Oh, yeah, I was probably supposed to remind you about that, and I didn't.
What? Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I couldn't get him to do it. Honestly, I was ready that day. I went and found the funnest outfit. I'm like texting him at work. I'm like, we're so going to do this. I'm so excited. He's like, yeah, maybe this weekend. And the weekend came. I'm like, we could do that today.
You went to Hawaii.
No, it was the weekend before that we got tagged in that.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
We could, I don't know. I'd say
Well,
we could
because
still
I
do
think
it,
part of the problem was I was going to make him dress up for it. And he thinks he has these tiny chicken legs, which he doesn't. But I'm like, you got to wear like yoga clothes and it's going to be fun. And yeah. So maybe we'll still get around to it. I'm all for it. I even sent Courtney over at Life on Beagle Road a Snapchat of my outfit. I'm like, do you think people would be offended by this? And she's
sent
like,
that to her?
I did. And she was like, well, I was like, I can tone it down a little. We're going to do it. Even just for the fun of it, we're going to do it.
We'll see.
I want to. Maybe I'll have Abigail do it with me. But it's not going to be as funny.
I have to do. If we're going to do it, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, towards the end of last year, Big Bear Homestead did a couples yoga collaboration challenge where he tagged a bunch of channels, and it got to Josh over at JJL Forge, and him and his wife did it, and they tagged us, and I immediately was like, oh no you didn't, but I'm so in, I'm gonna do this. And if you go to Big Bear Homestead's channel, and there's a playlist where you can watch them, they're hilarious.
Hi Lori and Teresa.
Hi Teresa, hi Lori.
Welcome.
Oh, that's fun that Ryan offered to dress up. Sweatpants might hide the chicken legs.
I do. I have chicken legs. Look at my knee.
But he's so flexible. He could do some, I found all these fun things. He's way more flexible than me. So I think it would be a hoot if nothing else. We should do it.
What did I say last time? Maybe this weekend.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Leah. Welcome.
Hey, Leah. Hey, Cecil. They got their first batch of meat chickens ordered.
I saw them. What was it last night? Somebody's live stream I was on. Jack and Tangi, and I talked to her last night because she said she was nervous, and I said, "Don't even be nervous. They're easy."
And she went with 15 or so, and I said that's how we started, and it was so easy. It's a nice break-in number. I don't know that we would ever do more than 20 at a time, because after you're just exhausted. You're you don't want to do any more chickens. If it's just the two of you, if you've got a big party over to help, it might be worth doing more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the process, the time to process. By the time you get all your equipment out, you go through it, you do it, and then you clean everything up, and then you still have a whole cooler full of chickens that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
So maybe if we had friends that could help.
Yeah. You guys are our friends, honestly.
In real life, we don't really have hardly any.
We have our friends, but they're not Homestead friends. So, oh, jeez. Hey, Allie, thanks for joining. I feel so lucky. I never see you on. Yay. What else were we going to talk about? Did you have any pictures in here? I see a couple things, but I don't know if you put that stuff in there.
No, that was leftover stuff, but I left those two things. One was pigs because we have all of our pork back. I didn't know if you wanted to talk anything about.
I don't want to really necessarily show pictures of the pigs because it's bacon now. So, I think what I mentioned to him before the live stream, when we were trying to say, what are we going to talk about? And, that we haven't already put videos on about, the chimney behind me. I just whitewashed that, which I love. I know not everyone. Cut my hair. Todd has trimmed the beard.
2 inches today I cut off.
Yes, but it's still there. But I thought about tell you guys what we've eaten from the pork. He cooked a ham for Christmas, which I think, in all honesty, I didn't fully enjoy it because I think we put it in the slow cooker and the temperature was accidentally set to high at some point instead of low, so it got a little dry. But that was our fault, not the pig's fault. Thanks, Tamara. The bacon we cooked, amazing. It's been my favorite thing I've eaten so far, of course. We had spicy ground sausage made, like your Bob Evans spicy sausage. That was amazing. We've had the regular, so we had some breakfast sausage made, and they're like really big links. Do you have them in the freezer?
I don't know if they're in there or I put them downstairs.
Oh, okay. They're like, what I'm used to are like breakfast sausage links that are like the size of your index finger. These are like almost small, like almost like a mini hot dog size. They're really big. I didn't like those. So he liked them okay, and he's eaten them since, but I haven't eaten them again. And what else did we have? Oh, we had pork chops this week, and those are really, really good. I'm not a super big fan of bone-in pork chops. I really like boneless pork chops, but it was good.
Sausage is downstairs in the freezer.
Okay. I'm excited to next try our pork steaks and to smoke a roast, like one of our pork butts or something like that. So that's where we are on all of our pig tasting. Nice. You're a brave woman to cut your own hair. Yeah. Quick, while he's not looking. I'm with you on the beard. Thanks, Tamara. Have fun, gotta help Rose navigate. Oh, yes, please help your wife navigate traffic. How many pounds did we get from our 2 pigs? So that's something that when we did the summary video, I was in Hawaii, so he was, received it and put it all away. And when he did like the count sheet, he just did like number of packages for each type of thing that we got. So all we really have a total of is our total hanging weights. I could go down to the freezer and pull everything back out and calculate it.
No, the packages don't have weights on them.
They don't?
No.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so we don't know. But the hanging weight of one was 240 pounds and the hanging weight of the other one was 243 pounds. So, of course, we didn't get the head. That goes away. Big bones and stuff that they would have cut out. Mm-hmm. But not bad. Oh, yes. Deborah, I sent him a message today and said, pull out the ground pork. I'm making meatloaf tonight. He forgot, so it's on tomorrow's menu.
And I'm a meatloaf guy.
Yeah.
I love my meatloaf.
So I'm excited. We're trying it tomorrow, though. Yes, we're making mead tonight on the live show, City Stead, so stay tuned. Do you want to tell them what kind of mead we're making?
All right, did I hear something about mead? City Stead. Yes, I'm going to make... So traditional mead is... The basic ingredients for a traditional mead would basically be water, yeast, and honey. As you start adding more ingredients and different items to it to flavor that mead, it becomes different things that have different names for it. Anytime you start adding fruit in, the technical name for it is a melomel, which is what we're going to make tonight. And we're going to use about 1 pint of blueberries that we harvested from our blueberry bushes in the backyard, and 2 pints of strawberry juice that we juiced from some of the strawberries that we grew this year using our steam juicer. So that's kind of the flavoring that we're going to add to the basic mead recipe.
Yeah, we don't have any Viking hats. So pork meatloaf, somebody I think posted, can't remember where that got posted at. And I commented on it like, oh, I want to try this. And I'm going to do half and half. So a pound of ground beef and a pound of ground pork. And I'm going to put it together.
Kind of like kombucha?
No, not at all. It's a true wine. It's you ferment it for quite a while and it becomes an actual wine. And kombucha, while it has yeast in it, it's not this process.
Right, so the difference between
Hey, Mindy.
the difference between a wine and a yeast, and its simplest form would be they both have water and they both have yeast. And where you get the alcohol from is when the yeast breaks down a sugar, it produces alcohol. In wine, that sugar is typically sugar, but in mead, it's typically honey. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
Yeah, she was asking if it's like kombucha.
No, not necessarily.
Kombucha, you don't ever get it to the alcohol level. I mean, the SCOBY's going to start breaking down the sugar, but as soon as it starts to ferment, you're basically done.
You'll hear similar terms like when you're brewing.
This is my kombucha, by the way.
When you're brewing mead, you'll go through the initial fermentation process, and then typically once that stops, you'll rack it into a secondary container, similar to what you would do with kombucha in a way. And sometimes you can get a secondary ferment that'll happen, which is where you get some of your carbonation from your kombucha from. So there's some similarities in some terminology, but the end result is two different things, I guess, would be a good way to put it.
We definitely have enough of our own honey that we could have used our own honey tonight, but for tonight's purposes, he just bought honey. He said he didn't want to ruin any of our own honey the first time practicing and making it. So this is our very first time ever doing this. We've never homebrewed a wine, a beer, or anything. So this is our first homebrew.
Right.
And I fussed at him big time when I saw that Amazon package come with Mead for two reasons. I said, number one, why didn't you just go down to Mr. John at the farmer's market and buy his honey? Why did you buy it off Amazon? And two, why aren't we using our own honey? And neither of them were satisfactory answers in my mind, but they were satisfactory to him. So he didn't want to waste our mead or our honey that we just got in case it doesn't work. And he read that orange blossom honey makes the best mead. So that's what he bought, and we don't have orange blossoms in Michigan. I said, well, you better not get used to it because we're going to be using our own honey, and it's not orange blossom honey.
That's our goal, is to use, other than our yeast, all of our ingredients is my desire comes from this homestead.
Right.
The honey comes from our bees. The fruit comes from our forest and our garden.
Yeah.
And that's our ultimate goal. But I want to build up my skills a little bit first. Well, for one, it's our first year raising bees, so we don't have a lot of honey. At least I don't feel like we do. Part of it's that my hoarder mentality or my prepper mentality, but I don't feel like we have a lot, being it was our first year. So this year, hopefully, we'll have a better surplus. And
Josh asked if this video will be up because his internet's spotty. Yeah, all of our live streams are always posted for forever when we're done.
Yep.
And then,
was there another question?
yeah, there was another question, real quick.
I have one thing that I want to get ready real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's like 20 after, so I do want to get started somewhat soon. So let me get this.
Oh, Allie asked, does it taste more like honey or more like the fruit that we're going to be adding? And in my opinion, a fruit mead still very much tastes like honey, but it's definitely, that's why they call it a mellow meld. So it's definitely mellowed out, the honey flavor. If you just have a straight honey, it's almost like it's a very thick texture that rolls over your tongue. It's divine. I mean, it's very honey. It's amazing. And from what what people say anyway, is it's one of the most original fermented drinks from history, So I don't know what he's doing. I think he's playing with all of his equipment that he needs to make it. The other thing I was going to talk about is because of the weather and stuff, it's like a crazy iffy situation on whether or not we're going to get a syrup run this year. So that's kind of like a bummer. I am on my last jar of syrup from last year. And So there's some people like in northern Ohio that I've read that went ahead and tapped just this last weekend because it was like in the 50s and 40s and they were getting a good flow. And then other people are saying you better wait because we may still get the actual freeze we should be expecting later in January and February, and then you'll miss the March run. So I'm really hoping that we still get a chance to get some syrup. That would be a pretty big bummer if I didn't get a chance to do that this year. But it could be a blessing in disguise because we do have a couple decent indoor projects that we want to accomplish this winter. And then you guys know I just went to my son's wedding and they're coming back in May and they're having their reception here. So there's just a lot of stuff that I need to do to prepare for that. Oh, thanks, Tamara. She said she got her sister watching us.
Oh, what's the nudge, nudge, wink, wink about?
I don't know. I missed it. Where?
Oh, just about it being windy. I guess I have my own chat I can look at.
So I have, that's okay, Josh. Yep, that's fine. We just got a big windstorm coming through, so it's really hitting. What is, lucerne blossom and orange blossom are, my lilac kill's favorite, honeys to use for mead. Okay, so are you getting ready to get started?
Yeah.
What else? If you guys have any other questions about what we've been up to, let me know. I mean, we went to IKEA and got new pillows.
Was that the weekend in review that we ended
Yeah,
up
so
skipping?
we did film quite a bit for last weekend's weekend in review and then didn't post it because we just didn't feel like we had enough content, but there was some funny footage in there of our visit to IKEA.
We sat down on these tiny, tiny little chairs. Because they sell like these tiny ones, and I don't know what they are for. I guess they're like...
They were for kids, I think.
Oh, they're for kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bye, Tamara.
We got out our phone and we started filming right in IKEA in front of all these people.
Yeah, I am a sucker for IKEA. We have quite a bit. I like it when I have... So, my lilac kill asked how I like my short hair. I like it. Today's not a good hair day, though. So, when it's not a good hair day, I'm very frustrated with it because I can't just pull back the sides because I feel like this looks funny. And then I try to... I'll do it. I tried to flip it to the other side, and it's just... I don't know. So, well... See, now you got it all jacked up. Whatever.
Good job.
It's okay when it's a good hair day, but it needed to come off.
I think I got most things
Okay.
ready enough that we can switch things around. We have to move the whole laptop microphone thing around, so we'll put you guys on pause for like 30 seconds so we don't make you guys dizzy, and we'll be like right back. Maybe less than 30 seconds. I think that looks good. We'll see what happens when I get in there.
Yep, I'm still here.
Well, I don't have a head.
It's okay. Sit on the stool.
Hi, welcome.
That's okay. I'll just come over. Can I get something for you?
Oh, I'll get it off.
Okay.
You can just sit.
Should we pull this?
All right, so hopefully you guys can hear us. Pure Living for Outdoors. Hey, welcome. Where do we see them people all the time? We always see you guys in somebody's live stream. I don't remember who. Is it
Pratt's, maybe. I don't know.
No, Daniel. Arms Family Homestead. I think you guys are friends with Daniel. You're laughing at me. So we talked earlier about like what makes a basic mead, and that's water, yeast, and honey. The yeast consumes the sugars from the honey, and as a byproduct, they produce alcohol, and you drink it. The difference today is that we're going to be adding fruit to that basic set of ingredients, which is going to make what they call a melomel. And so our basic ingredients that we're going to roll with tonight, one, like we said, honey. We're going to use some orange blossom honey that we bought on Amazon, as we mentioned earlier. Water. Do not use chlorinated. If you have city water, do not use chlorinated water. We have city water here, but we're not going to use it. We've run a good 2 gallons of water through our Berkey filter, so we're going to use that water tonight instead. The yeast that we're using, and I threw the packet away. Yeah, I did. Is Lalvin D47 yeast. It's a good basic all-around yeast. There's different characteristics. There's probably 100 different types of yeast that you can buy. And they all have different characteristics. They have different flavors. They have different temperature ranges, so that when you put everything together and you're ready to stick this somewhere and let it ferment, some of them will tolerate warmer temperatures, some of them will tolerate colder temperatures. So make sure when you're picking out your yeast, you keep in mind where you're going to be storing this to let it ferment. The other characteristics to keep in mind is the alcohol tolerance of the yeast. Some yeast you'll find have an alcohol tolerance of around 10 or 11, some are 14, some are 18. And what that means is when you throw everything together and you let it ferment, the yeast is going to start consuming the honey, the sugars in the honey, and producing alcohol. The alcohol in the volume of the mead is going to start rising the longer that thing sits there. Once it gets to a certain point, the yeast is going to die because it can't tolerate anything higher than alcohol volume. And the Lalvin D47 that we're using in tonight's experiment or tonight's process has a tolerance of about 14% alcohol. And the other thing about yeast is they'll all produce different flavors. Some will produce a more sweet mead, some will produce a more dry mead. Some ferment fast, some ferment slow. So there's all these different kinds. So do some research first before you get too far into it, and make sure that you're picking a yeast that's kind of based on the flavor profile that you're going for. All right, let's see, the other thing to talk about real quick before we get started, and this is the last thing, and then we'll get going on this, is cleanliness and sanitation. There's all kinds of acid-based chemicals and sanitization liquids that you can use to clean all of your equipment. Make sure everything that your mead is going to be touching, including all of your spoons, funnels, everything like that is all sanitized before you get rolling. I have my sink back here. I have my components in the sink soaking in the sanitizer. Leave that sink just full. That way, if you're halfway through and you realize, oh, hey, I forgot I need a spoon, you can just dip your spoon in there and you'll be good to go. Food Forest. Hey, welcome, friend. So I think that's most of the formality stuff out of the way. So let me get this. And quantity-wise tonight, we're only making 1 gallon.
So one of the things, you don't have to rinse this out.
Yeah, most of the sanitization products on the market, like you see all this foam and this bubbles in here, Don't worry about that. That can just stay. That will not harm your mead. You won't taste it.
Oops, sorry
Ooh,
about that.
that was loud. All right,
Let's go.
let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put...
You're probably going to... I wonder if those blueberries are even going to fit through
No,
that.
I'm just going to have to use my hands
Yeah.
to get them in there. So we have two... Whoa, why is that sticking?
Because it's frozen.
So we have 2 pint jars of strawberry juice, and we juiced these... I don't remember how much it was. I think almost 2 gallons of strawberries that we juiced over the summer.
They were like end of season strawberries that really weren't worth preserving. I mean, I could have made jam with them, I guess, but we decided we knew we were gonna try making mead or wine this winter, so we decided to juice the strawberries.
Yep, we juiced them using our steam juicer, and it produces this wonderful, wonderful raw, pure juice. And then I have about a pint of blueberries that I pulled out of the freezer earlier. We're going to toss that in as well. So I'm going to start by filling up this carboy about a third of the way, half of the way full with just plain water from our Berkey filter.
Bromark Farms, we're making mead. It's our very first time ever doing any kind of home brew, and we're making a strawberry blueberry mellow, which is anytime you add fruit to a mead, that's what you're going to get.
Almost. I guess I could have pre-done some of this ahead of time, but I wanted it to be real.
That looks like more than half, honey. Way more than half.
I think so.
I think you could be able to add water at the end if you need to. Top it off.
Yeah, you don't want to run out of space. So the first thing that we're going to add is the honey. This is orange blossom honey. We picked this up on Amazon. If you rewind this video, you'll find out why we're using this and not using our own honey. And I did put this in a little jug of warm water about an hour ago, hoping it would increase the viscosity a bit so this would pour nice and easy for us today.
And how much honey do you use for a gallon, this whole thing?
Yep, let me move this mic back a little bit. So the ratio, regardless of how much mead you are making, if you're making 1 gallon of mead or 5 gallons or 10 gallons, the base ratio is always 1/3 of however much you're going to make needs to be honey. By weight. And typically a gallon of water weighs about 9 pounds, so we're using 3 pounds of honey.
Okay.
So that's the base ratio. So if you're making 5 gallons of mead, whatever that works out to. I don't do math on camera. 1.5 gallons of honey, something like that.
So the glass in the bubbles, Amy, was from the sanitization process. He had it soaking and he just dumped out the sanitization liquid and it left some bubbles in the jar. And everything we've read said don't rinse that. It won't affect anything. Just let it go and do its thing. And
it's the same sanitization chemical that winemakers and beer makers and mead makers all pretty much share the same products. One of the slogans is don't fear the foam. You're going to end up with some foam in your bottles and some foam in your equipment. Ignore it. Man, that yeast really smells. Okay, so while this is going, the other thing that I did a little bit earlier was I took a little bit of water from our Berkey and I tossed it in the microwave. I brought this up to about 95 degrees. And I tossed my yeast in here and I've been letting it sit in there for about 10 minutes now. And what that does is that hydrates the yeast and kind of gives them a good jump start and activates them. That way they can hit the ground running.
So I guess the history behind mead is it would have started like in China, Asia area. Way back when. We're talking like the year 900 or something like that. And but it's really known for like the Vikings. So it was like they claimed it and famed it, and it is a fermented alcohol beverage. I have a bottle. Hold on just one second.
I think that's about all we're going to get out of this.
So I got this when I went to Homesteaders of America. And it was, I'm just trying to find. So this mead, I don't know what ours will be. This mead is 11% alcohol by volume. It is a super, super sweet honey wine, basically.
All right, so once we get our honey and our water, we want to mix this up.
Honey won't kill a yeast. It could kill a bacteria though.
I'm going to put a little plunger in here and stick my thumb over this and shake this a good shake. And if you see me running to the sink and dipping my hands in the water, that water contains sanitizer, and I'm just making sure I keep my hands clean throughout this process. All right, so now we have our water and we have our honey. It's time to add our yeast in. This funnel was also in the sanitizer earlier, as well as this cup.
I don't know if you're going to be able to fit both of those. Or are you just using a pint and a half?
I was going to use both pints,
I
but
think they're
if they don't all fit, they don't all fit. Now I'm going to add the strawberry juice. Taking on a nice color.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably do the blueberries next.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we have room.
I want to taste this. Doesn't taste very, like we didn't sweeten or anything. It's just straight strawberry juice from our strawberries.
Oh, I'm making a mess.
Yeah, I knew you would. Well, you're getting like good strawberry or blueberry juice out.
Yeah. So all of the components that we're using tonight and are in the description of this video, as well as an ingredients list of everything that we're using tonight is in the description of this video. So if you want to give this a try yourself, it should be pretty easy for you.
Oh, that wasn't a sanitized blueberry. It was on the counter.
I wiped this whole counter down earlier.
Oh, did you? Okay, can you add more?
Yeah, we can probably. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to keep some headspace here. Because once we get this rolling, this bung, this is called a bung, will go in here. This is just a little rubber cork. Mm-hmm. And then this airlock will go here. And what you don't want to happen is, as the yeast starts producing carbon dioxide and different things, you could get some foam. You don't want your foam to come all the way up and get into your airlock. It's going to come out and it's going to make a big giant mess.
Yeah. So I'm just questioning whether we should fill it anymore.
And what your airlock does is you fill this airlock with some water, and it allows gases to escape up and out, and it'll bubble and then go out into the atmosphere, but it cannot go back in. So it keeps this a sanitary, quarantine safe environment so that you can't get anything that you don't want down in there. You just want to roll with it like this and only use one jar of strawberry?
I think so. I
mean, we can definitely put some more water in.
Yeah, I think so.
Or, because I don't think a pint is going to...
No. Just save that for our next one that we do. We can refreeze that.
Okay. All right, so we will edit the description of this video and say that we only used a single pint of strawberry juice.
We used our fruit, our steam juicer. It's basically, it's a steam juicer. Did you put that in the description, honey?
No, but I'll add it when I edit this out at the end.
I use it to make my, like after I core and peel all my apples for making applesauce, I'll throw all those in the steam juicer and get straight apple juice. So I use it for a lot of things.
So I brought it over to the Berkey. I topped it off to about here, and I think that's about where I'm going to leave it.
Again, this is our first time doing it, so if you guys know any better, let us know.
Couldn't hurt feel to keep free.
A plastic tote just in things. Oh, Mindy said it wouldn't hurt to, when you put that in the basement, to put it in a plastic tote just in case things start bubbling over.
Right, okay. Mindy as in?
Life goes north, Mindy.
Oh, hey, Mindy.
Cool. So we're going to make sure to give you guys updates as we go through this process. I think you said you leave it in here for 6 weeks for the first stage before we siphon it off and do its next stage.
Right. So what will happen here is I'll get this bung sealed on here. We'll throw some water in this. And we're going to take this downstairs and put it in our basement. Our basement runs about 60 to 65 degrees. And you let this sit for anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks usually. And what will happen is the yeast will consume the sugars from the honey. They'll produce alcohol. Eventually they'll stop. They'll either run out of honey or the alcohol content will get too high and it kills off the yeast, and that's kind of where things stop. That'll take 4 to 6 weeks. Then what you do is you take a second container and you do what's called racking, is where you pull all the sediments that are in here are all going to sink to the bottom of the jar, and you're going to siphon off everything above that into a new container, and that's when you start the aging process. Some meads, you can drink them right away. Some meads, you let them sit for a month, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year. In general, the longer you let it sit, once it's done fermenting, the better it's going to taste.
So Valerie asked if there'll be a taste testing at the Hoot Nanny. It depends if it turns out. If we're going to bring it.
Yeah, that's right about the right. It'll definitely be done by then. And if it's not, something bad happened.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to buy a couple more of these jugs. You can get these for like $10.
So Sojourner asked if it'll get a mother. No. It's nothing like making kombucha. There's no bacteria. There's no... remember, kombucha is a living bacteria and yeast. And this is just a yeast. That's why there's so much sanitization going on, so you don't introduce any kind of bacterias.
Yep. I'm thinking of buying a couple more of these jugs. You can get them for like $10. And get a couple different recipes going.
Yeah, he's not a big wine drinker at all. At all. So, I mean, that would be like probably make like 3 of these, I would guess.
3 or 4, probably.
Yeah, and that is enough to last us 2 years. So, we're just not big wine drinkers.
It'd be a fun gift to give away to people, though.
They're more like gifting purposes and special occasions, anniversaries, things like that. Anyway, we just thought it would be fun to do something live with you guys. And so that was our making mead for the first time with you.
Yeah, I think the first time we did this, you taught people how to make brown sugar.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that seemed like a big hit. So we'll try to do this from time to time on our live streams. It gives us something to do, and it gives you guys something to do other than just sitting watching us talk.
Yeah. Good night, my lilac kill. Wish you a very relaxing 2019. Do you want to move back to our spots? No?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not going to be as kind to you guys as Todd is, and I'm just going to move
gosh,
you.
oh no.
Fall. Okay. Okie doke. Good night, Deborah. Oh, and so if you guys were on our live stream before Christmas, we were sitting in this exact same spot, and at some point during the live stream, I kept going, like, smelling, like...
And I'm like, your feet stink?
What is that smell?
Or is it my feet that stink?
And our egg preservation crock is below this, in between these two stools that we sit on. And I ended up cracking it open at the end of that live stream, and it smelled so terrible. I'm so scared to get into that. I have not gotten into it. I'm like, no one hit the crock. Don't touch it. So that video is going to be coming up here soon, because I've got to get in there and see if any of the eggs are still good. If all of those eggs are bad, I'm going to be heartbroken, because it's at least 7 dozen eggs in there. At least 7 dozen eggs.
I would think more than that.
I mean, it's a 5-gallon crock nearly filled with eggs. So
just this past weekend, was it Sunday? I wanted to make breakfast. And I went in the fridge and I'm looking and I'm like, Rachel, where's all the eggs?
No, you said, are we out of eggs?
Are we out? And she's like, no, there's some in that crock. I am not getting them.
I said, well, you can get in the crock and just float test them and see if they're good. He's like, I'm not getting in there.
I get stink hand. My hand will stink for 4 days.
So I said, there's some in the coop. I'll go get your coop. He did trim his beard. He cut 2 inches off today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. I like the whitewash too. I did not use lime water. I used, there's a video up on it, and I used 50% just white paint and 50% water.
Lime water for the eggs or lime water for this?
Oh, is that? I thought you were talking about the lime water for the whitewashing. Lime water was used for the egg preservation. I don't know. I was convinced it was going to work. So I'm guessing I'm going to find something that tells me it's my fault. That I put an egg in there that might have been too porous, like the shell wasn't thick enough. Or I put an egg in there and it, like, when it went in, maybe it got a ding and like a small hairline fracture on the shell. So I'm guessing it's something that it's going to be my fault. Hey, Morgan, welcome. If you're just joining, you totally missed the mead making. We just made mead live on the show. I'm
part of the process.
I know.
No, it's bad. It's really bad.
It is bad. No, it's rotten egg bad. So we know that there's something wrong in there.
Sulfur.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be done outside. Yes, Cindy. I think, too, that could have been part of the problem. While it stays pretty cool in our house, this island does have 2 heat vents that go off the sides of it. And I think if I would have kept it in the pantry where it's more directly on the outside wall, probably would have been a better idea, too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, surely it shouldn't smell like that. So we're going to try. What else was there to talk about? We talked about the weather. We talked about we probably aren't going to have much luck at maple syrup tapping this year. We talked about our pork. We talked about IKEA. And we made mead.
Yeah, the Townsend's video recipe is exactly what we followed.
Yeah, that is exactly what we did. That's how I knew that you could even do it, was because we are huge Townsend fans and watched it.
But it's like one of those things that's like you're only going to get out of it the quality that you put in. And like you said, if one of those eggs had a small crack in it or something and we put it in there, hopefully it's just one egg that
I just hope
and
like
ruptured and
because if one egg goes bad, does that mean it ruins all my eggs? Surely not. So I'm gonna figure it out. And I just started loading this crock, I think at the beginning of September. I had to go back and look at when I posted that video, but if I remember right, I think it was September.
Well, Allie had a good question for you. What'd you do last night?
Oh my gosh, totally did all my seeds shopping last night. So I'll show you real quick.
She had her spreadsheet so worked out this year. She knew exactly how many of each type of seed that she needed.
Yeah. And so this is my seed container. And so I went through last night. Oh, and I shucked all my green beans that I saved from the garden to have my own green bean seed. I know I don't have enough, so I did have to order some. But I went through and saw everything that I have. I have a lot of stuff that I'm never going to grow. And guys, I found out something new about my gardener. He has a part of his social responsibility campaign. I forget the name of it, but if you have seeds that you're not going to use, I can send them to him, and he gets them to families that can't afford to buy their own seeds for free so that they can garden. So I have a lot of seeds that have either been gifted to me or come in like freebie packages and stuff, and I'm going to get those up to Cindy and Luke so that they can give them away. But anyway, talking about my spreadsheet. So I keep this massive spreadsheet, and it has my garden layouts and how many seeds go in every section, or plants or whatever. And then I break that down and say, okay, when do I need to start seeds? When do I need to have in-ground sowing going on, and days to germination and things like that, just to help me, like, what does my year look like? So I got through all that, came home, did my seed inventory, realized what I needed. I had already had like a base in my gardener cart built, thinking I knew what I needed, but I needed to come home and check. So I got all my seeds ordered. The exciting thing this year that we've decided to do that we haven't told you about is our pig paddock that the pigs just tilled up. We're going to do a garden in there this year. So I'm really excited about that. And it's going to be a lot of things that surplus things that I otherwise wouldn't have the space for in my big garden, like pumpkins and big squashes and zucchini and stuff like that. But I'm also going to grow a lot of broccoli and cauliflower that I typically wouldn't give up my garden space for because it's hit or miss whether or not I'm successful growing it. A lot of sunflowers in there. And cucumbers. So I'm just going to take, if you guys remember what we did with the goat shelter, and we used all that straw and hay to build up the walls around their shelter, all of that's going to be broken down and make the Ruth Stout beds in the pig paddock that I can plant directly in that beautiful tilled soil. And we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I feel confident it's going to go good. So we'll see.
Right, because I think we already mentioned, right, that we're not going to raise pigs next year.
Yeah, we did mention that.
We did mention that?
Yeah.
And Bromark was asking about maples and why we might not get a good maple run this year.
We haven't had a deep freeze.
Yeah, our freeze has been weak to the point where a lot of the maple trees around here are starting to bud already.
Yeah.
Which is going to throw their whole cycle out because they're going to bud, and then February we'll probably have 30 days of Arctic weather. All the buds are going to freeze and fall off. Then the tree's going to have to produce buds again.
Yeah. And
it's a lot of energy that gets wasted by the tree.
Right.
Hey, you love our wall. Thank you.
I assume that's what they're talking about. And
my Grace, what did you miss earlier? We made a 1 gallon batch of Mead tonight. If you go back, you can
did.
rewatch this live stream. All of our live streams stay on our channel. We don't delete them afterwards.
Yeah, this is what we just made on the live stream. So a strawberry blueberry mead. I don't need any Cherokee tan pumpkin seeds, but I appreciate it, Valerie. Thank you so much. I have lots of pumpkin seeds and squashes and things like that. So I'm pretty bummed about the maple syrup. I know I'm going to Trader Joe's this weekend to get a gallon of maple. They have a really cheap option for organic real maple syrup. So I'm going to go up there and get some just to carry us through in case we don't end up doing maple syrup. Right now, I'm planning on probably not doing that. I don't want to go through all the effort and it just not be a successful run in the way that this winter's gone. I think it's not going to be healthy for the trees, in my opinion. They're already doing their thing that they want to do, thinking spring's around the corner. So it's like 4 minutes still.
Oh, this past weekend I went out and checked on our bees.
You did? Yep.
I didn't open them, but if you go up to their little box and you tap, you hear them go.
Yeah.
Both boxes still have bees in them. So, but like we said, we really haven't had a whole lot of winter yet this year. So,
other than, and he doesn't know this, so I love it when I get to say things on our live streams that he doesn't know. Other than my seed order, I have built up my Stark Brothers shopping cart too for fruit trees to fill the side food forest that we cleared last summer. So you guys got a lot of updates on that and how much clearing we did. And so I know I've got more apple trees, some fig trees, some pawpaw trees, and something else. I don't remember what. But just ready.
So we're going to plant some more trees?
Yeah. But I've been asking him, the thing that I need to know is, because he planted grass in there. We want the lawn to connect from the front yard to the orchard where the orchard rows are, from a grass and through the forest. So I told him I need you to get out there with me and mark like the pathways where I can build the fruit forest, kind of curvy pathways through.
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that.
We still have the big tree that fell that we have to cut up.
Do it before it gets warm. Aim High wants to know where we bought our bees from. I spent a lot of time researching. I did not want to, not that there's anything wrong with it, I didn't want to buy bees from down south. They generally don't overwinter too well in Michigan. I wanted bees that came from Michigan that lived in Michigan and had survived a winter in Michigan. And there's some really good beekeeping. Oh, my fingers are all blue from those blueberries. There's some really good beekeeping groups on Facebook. Look for like Michigan beekeeping swap, buy, sell type things. And I found 3 different people in Southeast Michigan that all sell bees. And the only bees they sell are bees that they've raised and that have survived over winter. And
it was just a local guy,
right,
to be short and sweet about
it's
it.
not necessarily
not
even
a company or anything.
Company. It was just like, I think the guy's name was Jamie or something like that, and lives like 20 minutes north of here. And I went and picked up some bees from him.
But Amy lives in the area, so you should get a hold of her and tell her who the guy is.
Sure.
Okay.
How?
Amy's like Ann Arbor-ish, right? Some Ypsilanti area.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a guy that lives out by MIS.
Yeah.
Michigan International Speedway. He's probably pretty close to you. I can if you remind me later, shoot me a message on Facebook or something, and I'll send you a link to his page. So
we don't have fig trees yet, Michigan Mike. This will be our first set of fig trees that we're going to plant.
Oh, jeez,
don't touch the crock. Marshall. But isn't it out that way, Amy? I feel like it is for some reason. I don't know. I know it's like west-ish from us, northwest-ish for us. Okay. I don't know what is she's barking at.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. That means it's my bedtime, but it's been great talking to you guys. Love ya. I wish you all a wonderful 2019. And if you haven't done your seed inventory and your seed garden planning, don't wait. Seeds go out of stock much faster than you could ever imagine. I've missed out on some varieties that I've wanted because I've waited too long. So I'm planting a Chicago Hardy fig.
Yeah, in my garden it was sold out on some stuff already, right?
Oh yeah, lots. Stark Brothers too. Stark Brothers was already sold out of trees, and they I put my order in now, and they don't even ship it to me till it's safe to plant in my zone. So the scheduled shipment date is like March 9th. So it's really important to get your tree orders in early. Like the cherry tree I wanted, I couldn't get. It was already out of stock.
Oh, well.
That stinks.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you before, but if not, we'll see you next Tuesday live.
Yep.
We should be back on our normal schedule. Mm-hmm. Weekend in review this weekend.
Yep.
We'll get back on track for you guys and
Bye.
keep going. We'll see you guys next week if we don't see you sooner.